This is a game in easy mode, and this is a game in hard mode. Which would you rather play? I understand the appeal of hard games. My favorite games are the From Software games. I love XCOM, and I'm also a big fan of the Fire Emblem and Advance Wars type of games. But there is a huge difference between a game built from the ground up with difficulty in mind to games where they just number go up for the difficulty. Let's start with what's the difference between easy and hard, and the way that you can tell developers did put some elbow grease into making them a completely different experience, making it twice as difficult and thrice as enjoyable. As an example, let's start with XCOM, which is a turn-based suffering simulator in which you move around a grid and shoot aliens. At the time of shooting, it's decided by a percentage system based on several things if the shot will hit or not. If the percentage is above 90%, it has a 50-50 chance to hit. Anything below a 90 is a guaranteed miss. When playing this game on easy, you learn the basics. Cover is good, high ground is good. After finishing an easy difficulty playthrough, you'll have the basics nailed down. Now, let's say you finish the game and decide to start a new playthrough on harder difficulty. And yes, you don't hit as hard, enemies have more health. But that's not it. You don't only have to hit harder to succeed, you have to think smarter. For example, if you continue with your half a brain cell mindset and dare to put 2 of your soldiers in close proximity, you'll be catching grenades as you'd be catching an STD at a diddy party.
Commander, you may want to instruct your men to exercise restraint when using explosives.
That is really the main complaint that I have about hard difficulties. In a game, when you increase the difficulty, it should make you play different, using every tool at your disposal. For example, this is Uncharted 4 in easy difficulty. And this is Uncharted 4 in hard difficulty. In this case, the game would actively punish you for engaging in most of its gameplay mechanics. If you even think about using your grapple hook, you'd be shut down faster than an acorn assaulting a police officer. The most reliable way of playing in this difficulty is hiding behind cover for a minute and shooting for 2 seconds. And when the options are doing that and this, guess what I'm gonna choose? A game that as it gets more difficult makes you engage more with the game by taking advantage of all the mechanics that you have at your disposal is a well-designed game. Let's take for example Pokemon, a mildly difficult game on the first couple of generations. You had to actively think in XP distribution, you might need to use an item here and there. Now compare that to recent entries. You could legitimately go all the way to the end game just by pressing forwards and mashing the A button. Now, let's compare that to a game that I've been playing for the last couple of months, Shin Megami Tensei 5. This game is pretty much Pokemon, but with penises. And it's, in comparison, very difficult, especially with bosses. You can even be 10 levels above them, but if you don't carefully plan how you're going to engage your enemy, you're doomed to fail. You'll be using every tool that you have at your disposal, buffs, debuffs, items, and after all that, you'll barely get to defeat a boss. I might be a masochist, but being at the edge of my seat, planning my next 5 moves and barely escaping to tail is something that I find more engaging and entertaining than just standing behind cover. Another reason why I prefer to play some games on easy difficulty is, for example, when you only want to experience the story. Like last year, I played Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Terrible game, I don't recommend playing it. But the cinematic cutscenes are fantastic, well directed, and worth experiencing. So I decided to torture myself for 10 hours to see them. You could do the same, not exclusively with bad games, but with games that you want to experience mostly for the story. There are some fantastic games out there, and not having to run the risk of becoming bald because you're pulling your hair out after every death in order to play them sometimes is the better option. Like the difference between watching a movie with a convoluted storyline that requires a chart to keep track of what's going on
I don't know what you're talking about.
and watching a simple comedy. Another reason to play in easy is that at the end of the day, hard difficulty is only hard because of the amount of repetition that you need to overcome the challenge you're presented with. You enter a boss room in a Souls-like game and you don't expect to beat the boss on your first try. When you beat a boss on your third try in those types of games, that's considered an easy boss. I'm still not over the high of beating Dark Eater Midir on my first try. One of the hardest bosses in the whole FromSoft series, up until Elden Ring was released. Bosses on that game are on another level. I was stuck on Simprodon for like a week. And there are many other games like that where increasing the difficulty doesn't mean using more of the resources that the game provides you, or taking advantage of the game mechanics in a way that you hadn't previously. Another game which I believe is similar to Soulsborne gameplay style is Metroid Dread. The first time that you go against any boss in this game, they throw out a never-ending combo of hits and projectiles that you feel like you need 3 dimensions to be able to dodge all that. But you try again and again, and when you finally beat the game, you feel like a god. And at least with me, after learning the boss's moveset, I even wanted to attempt a no-hit run. So I don't see the harm in wanting to play a game, go through the game, and be able to do it in one try, or without being stuck hitting your head against the wall, because there is a boss that requires pattern recognition, and that can only be achieved with practice. Or I might not even have the capability, eye-hand coordination to overcome that obstacle. So why not give me the option to just breeze through your game? Wouldn't that be better than getting the game, not being able to get through the tutorial of the game, so I refunded? If I get an easy difficulty, I might even go back to it a second time, but this time like a big boy, on normal mode. I want to give my 2 cents on the Sekiro needs an easy mode controversy, but before I say what I want to say, I do believe that an artist is free to make whatever art they want to do, as long as it's legal. But you shouldn't be surprised if you make a black and white movie with no dialogue, with only one character, and no one watches it. That being said, it would be very easy to implement an easy mode on the Soulsborne games. And you wouldn't even need to change the HP, attack power, or anything really. How, you ask? I would consider the new God of War games easy. They are mainstream, AAA exclusive games, the Marvel movies of gaming.
I said Axel.
But the reason why they're easy is an element of the HUD that you see in combat when an enemy is about to hit you. You'll get this yellow ring that tells you the timing for parrying, dodging, or blocking. A similar thing shows up when there's an attack that can only be cancelled with a shield dash. And the last one being a red one that is unparryable and unblockable. So your only option is to dodge or to run away. This mechanic takes most of the pattern recognition out of the game, giving you beforehand all the information that you need in order to respond to your enemy's attack. So when most of the difficulty comes from recognizing what's coming at you, if that's taken away, Elden Ring doesn't become a walk in the park, but you no longer would be walking on molten lava. At the end of the day, when you start a game and see that option to select the difficulty, just ask yourself, what do you want? A story, an experience, or do you want to overcome a challenge? Whatever you choose, just make sure to have fun. This was all just a long way of saying that every game should have a crop with a gun difficulty mode. Thanks for watching.